Hi there. In this video, I'm going to talk about the spiritual attribute of spiritual integration. So, what's integration? Most of you probably know, but we'll just go into it anyway. Integration is where you have several parts, so to speak, that are separate, and you bring them all together to make a whole. So, you integrate one thing with another to make something different, perhaps. So we also look at integration as in different ethnic groups in our society, integrating into other societies, but it's the same principle. But we're looking at integration from a spiritual perspective. So what is spiritual integration? One aspect of it is how we integrate the various things that we have learned spiritually into our belief system, our own core belief system, the beliefs of our being. So we can learn this, learn that. We might, at times, we've integrated things, but we might reach a time where something's no longer serving a purpose. So we can shed that. But even though we've de-integrated it, so to speak, it's still a part of the spiritual attribute of spiritual integration. Because for us, that is that process. As we grow and learn new things, things that are no longer serving their purpose have to be shed, and we integrate something new. So there's that process of spiritual integration that's going on alongside a process perhaps of shedding the old that we no longer need. But the important thing is that we have that, we can integrate the various beliefs that we have into something that allows us to function as a spiritual being. That we have a belief system that we can use practically in our daily lives. It's no use to us if there's no bringing it down into the material, so to speak. We are material beings having a spiritual experience. That quote's, I don't know who I've stolen that quote from. I've read it in a few different places. But it is so true. Even for people who aren't actively walking a spiritual path, they still are, at their core, spiritual beings having a material existence or a material experience. They just don't realise it. But if you're looking at these videos, then you realise it. You see yourself as a spiritual person. And so you're looking, I would expect, or from my point of view, you need to be a practical spiritual being. It's nice to have beliefs that sort of take you off into fantasy land, because that can be fun and that can be relaxing and that can be nice in meditation, and that's good. We need aspects like that in our lives. But we need some practical tools that serve a purpose to help us navigate whatever challenges life throws at us. Because as spiritual beings, we know we have chosen a lot of these challenges to help us to grow in this particular lifetime. Some of the others may have come along because of we racked up some karma, so to speak, in this life, and it's actually quite suitable to balance it in the same life that it was created. Karma works like that sometimes. Sometimes you work it off with separations between lifetimes because you have to grow in various ways before you can actually tackle something. At other times, you can do it in the same lifetime. So that's part of your spiritual journey. And spiritual journey is one of integration. Spiritually integrating the various things that you've learned and gained. But it's probably can be looked at as integrating all of the aspects of your being as well. So you're integrating your daily life into your spiritual life, because you're a conscious spiritual being now. So there is no separation between your spiritual life and your daily material life. They're one and the same now. We have our emotional aspect and our mental aspect, and those aspects support the material and the spiritual aspects of us. Sometimes they hold us back, so we think, and I suppose they do. Mentally and emotionally, aspects there in those vehicles can hold us back in achieving things in our daily life, possibly can hold us back in achieving what we think we should be achieving spiritually. However, if we step back and look at ourselves as an integrated being with a spiritual aspect, a mental aspect, an emotional aspect, and a physical aspect. Those aspects are loosely integrated. What we want them to do is work more in harmony with each other, really, don't we? We want our emotions to work for us, not against us. We want our mind to work for us, not against us. The old physical body, well, we have to keep it in pretty good health in order to carry the rest of it around. But our mental aspect and emotional aspect can have a positive or a negative impact on our physical. I think most of us know that or accept that to some extent. It's not the whole cause of physical illness, but it certainly can contribute positively or negatively. Same as physical illness can have a very strong impact on our mental aspect and our emotional aspect. So really, when you look at mental, emotional, physical, they do have a sort of an integrated thing going on, don't they? And we basically want that to be more harmonious. We want them to work together to bring about health, physically, emotionally, and mentally. And it's our spiritual aspect that governs that. We can look at that as our soul. And our soul lives many, many lifetimes. It has a different personality each time. And along that journey, one of the challenges of that soul, or our soul, is to be able to take full control of the personality in that lifetime. We've lived many lifetimes where the personality controlled the soul. It's a little bit like, the video games people play where you're the player, and in the game you have what they call an avatar. Well, you're the soul, and the avatar in the game is your personality. Now, you as the player are trying to control that avatar in the game so that you can gain something. I don't play those games, but I've seen them. Well, basically, your soul is doing the same thing. In each lifetime, it is trying to control that personality to gain something. So what it's gaining or wanting to gain is growth as a soul. Souls started off pretty innocent. They didn't have any experience of material life, particularly material life as a human being. And that's what they're mastering. The soul that comes out at the end, when you don't need to come back anymore, is a vastly different soul than the one you started out with, because it has experience. And it has experience at controlling, mastering, directing so many different personality types. If you think about it, we've been everything in our past lives. And part of our spiritual integration is actually integrating the knowledge, the understanding, the wisdom that we have gained through many, many lifetimes. That's a part of our spiritual integration too. And so we want to give our soul total control of our lives. We've chosen in this particular life, as in all lives, a personality that's going to give us the best chance of creating the situations that we need to give us the challenges, and then to be able to meet those challenges, and for that soul to be able to finally get to that point where in some lifetime the soul and the personality are completely integrated. They are one and the same. There is no difference as far as how things operate. Certainly, when the life comes to an end, the body is shed. But the soul remains, but it has integrated within itself all of the experiences. And the personality isn't exactly the body, but it is more connected to the body than what our soul is. As an interesting point, I was shown once in a reading that and this is just visual, not that we really don't have a whole stack of actual physical closets stored somewhere, but I was shown as if we all have these closets which represent each life we've lived. And we can, when we do have past life regressions, we can sometimes come and open a closet, and inside that closet will be the personality of that life. And that, in connecting with that personality, we can connect with its flaws as well as its strengths and see into that life and who we were, the person we were at that in that lifetime. So they just showed me that, all these closets that we can access. So it's like a visual that helps you. And you can use that if you like, if you want to do a meditation and see if you can go and open a closet from a past life and meet yourself from that life. So that's part of our spiritual integration too. Integrating everything from our past lives up until the present, and then eventually in our last life, we will have integrated it all. So we will be a fully integrated being. And we will be ready to no longer come back and incarnate. We will be ready to go on to the next level of our existence and do whatever it is that is ahead for us there. I could go into all that, but I can leave that for another time. But I'll leave the spiritual integration as a spiritual attribute where it is now. So spiritual integration is very much a doing. And eventually you will have acquired spiritual integration. You will be spiritually integrated. Thank you for listening to me.